Start now roving, going around.
Why like this?
Yes, we can start. These people cannot wait for them.
Madam, I need to belong. Irenyi mukwere nyene.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for coming, particularly members of the press. We are happy to receive you at the UN. I'm the UN resident coordinator in the Gambia, and I'm happy to be in a great partnership with National Disaster Management Agency, represented here by Mr. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔. You all know him. Today we are about to close a very strategic mission that we had, and we have been hosting a huge delegation on the disaster that is happening in the country, the flooding that you all experienced during this the last month, and still ongoing. We still seeing a lot of issues happening out of the country, and we are at the end of the day of the mission in the Gambia, but not at the end of our collaboration. So we are happy to brief you on the findings, and as you know, it's not the first press conference that we are having with them. It's a pleasure to see that you have been following up on this, because communication and advocacy is important in a crisis situation. And we thank you and congratulate you for what you have been doing. Today, Mr. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏 will brief you on the findings, and we will be here to support. We have Mr. Angus, who is the lead of the UNDAC Mission in the Gambia. He will be providing his expertise as needed. So with this, I'm not going to keep the floor. I'm going to hand it to Mr. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏 for a summary of the main findings, and we will be happy to respond to any questions or details or any inputs you may need. So over to you, Mr.
Post this way, do this. No,
Okay, thank you.
told you this. Journalists and photographers, they are the same.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think my first appreciation will go to the media. Media, they have been creating visibility for this mission. So on that note, I just want to appreciate your work and also thank you in no small measure for contributing to the dissemination of information with regard to the recent program. As the Executive Director of the National Disaster Management Agency, the best tool to protect yourself against disaster is to create awareness, to inform. I think the minister, the media is doing that, as we can also see. On behalf of the Vice President, who is the chairperson of the National Disaster Governing Council, and on behalf of the government, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Resident Coordinator and his office for inviting the UNDAC Mission into the country to strengthen our response capacity when it comes to the recent flooding which devastated most part of this country. They've done a remarkable work, and their work is well appreciated. And even in terms of strengthening our coordination capacity, I really want to thank you and your team for this laudable mission that you are now accomplishing. The mission is completed, but the work is ongoing. As you can see, the report is in a draft form, and I just want to brief you that this morning we actually shared the draft with the embassies, the UN agencies, and all the donor partners, as we consider the report are ongoing, so that we can also get their perspective and their input that will enrich the report, so that the report will be attempted to when it comes to its implementation. And I really want to thank the RC for initiating that. The report has highlighted very important issues. The issue of food security in this country as a result of flooding is actually, as we can see, is very evident in the report. The water and sanitation issue is very evident in the report. The other aspects are, both private and social infrastructure, the environmental issue are all highlighted in the report. If you can see, disaster is a very cross-cutting issue. It impacts public health, it impacts education, it impacts almost every sector of every institution in this country. When disaster happened, we all know it impacted our contact hours in school, because children would be staying in school and they would not be able to get the required contact hours to go to school. In terms of environment, we have public health issues, and this recent flooding which occurred on the 30th and 31st has revealed the issue of kidney injuries, it highlighted skin problem, and all these things are highlighted in the report. But we can make a difference collectively if we see this report as a one-stop shop, that both the public, private, and government will kind of take this report as a one-stop shop in order to respond to strengthen our resilient capacity at the community level, at all levels. So on that note, I really want to thank the RC's office in no small measure for initiating this, and the UNDAC team. If I have any word, I cannot even have the right word to express my appreciation for the UNDAC team, both at the technical level, at our working relationship at the office. I really want to thank you, UNDAC, Angus, and your team. So I thank you for your kind attention. If you want to ask any specific issue, we will be there to actually respond to your questions. Thank you.
No, let them flow. Okay. Bang. Mata. Don't you give
Ntar yan na may buta hita minta ka sandong ko na diyan.
Thank you very much. I'm 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, the team leader of the UNDAC team. I begin by saying that it's been very much a privilege and a pleasure to work alongside Mr. 𝒂𝒂𝒏, Executive Director of the National Disaster Management Agency, in support of response efforts. It's also been a pleasure supporting the Office of Resident Coordinator, 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏, to engage in coordination activities with the United Nations agencies and partners. Myself and the team have spent the last 3 weeks working on the crisis response. We've looked at supporting coordination, at supporting assessment, at supporting information management, at supporting crisis communications, and indeed in pulling this together in the form of a single comprehensive communication which will be shared both here with key partners in the Gambia, at regional level in West Africa, and of course at global level with the United Nations offices in Geneva and New York. I think we've identified very key priorities that have arisen from the crisis. We looked at the key affected regions of the Greater Banjul area, North Bank, Central River region, and Upper River region, and also noted the importance of extending the quality response efforts that have been seen in the Greater Banjul area to the outlying regions and districts. We identified the key areas of water and sanitation, health, food security and protection, and shelter as being the critical areas that required our response efforts. I think we see with climate change, with the various pressures that the modern world is placing on society, we see the difficulties in terms of being vulnerable to flooding and other natural disaster incidents. And we commend the resilience efforts that are being implemented in this regard. We see the importance of preparedness and mitigation activities, and we have had opportunity to support planning on these issues, looking ahead to the forthcoming years. We have been directly involved in response efforts, and it's been a real privilege to work alongside the partners who have been out there working with affected populations, dealing with the very serious issues that they face. We now look ahead into recovery efforts, which are critical, of course, to enabling people to regain their lives and their livelihoods. We see the enormous impact that this has had on the economic lives of people, and we also recognise the global challenges that are present with significant economic challenges that we as a world face. So we leave over the next few days. It's been a real enjoyable period of time working with very close relationships we've developed with our counterparts here. I think we believe that we've initiated some excellent relations which we hope will continue into the future. We very much wish all the best with the ongoing response efforts, and we can say that the support that we offer as a global international support for disaster response in times of need will of course continue to be available. We recognise also that support is available from the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, of which the UNDAC is a function, and its presence in the region, namely with its regional headquarters in Dakar. And we note also the significant contribution that our Dakar colleagues made, because they arrived before we did, and they very much helped set up much of the coordination activities that we have been involved in. So thank you to the media for joining us and indeed engaging us with us regularly through this process. Thank you to all colleagues who've been working alongside. And I'd begin just by extending the thanks to you, Mr. 𝒂𝒂𝒏, and indeed to the Government of Gambia for the excellent working collaborations that we have experienced over the last 3 weeks. And we look forward, both as individuals and representatives of institutions, to continue these excellent relationships into the future. So thank you very much and wish you farewell, and we hope it's not too long until we see each other again.
Okay, now the floor is open for some questions. So if you put your hand up, we'll take it in the order. Flash.
Thank you very much. My name is 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 for Online News. We've seen series of reports from the NDMA. I think the 5th report has just been issued. Over 40-something thousand people affected, and over 3,000 homes affected, destroyed, and again completely destroyed. Perhaps one would argue that we've seen it all. The things which you are saying are a problem. What people want to know, what is the response? For example, the army, what's happening with those kind of, are we considering the army, using them to help in this regard? I've seen in some instances they've been supported. What is the response, tangible response? And finally, when will we be able to get this report?
So thank you very much for the question. The report is very much in its final stages of completion, and we would hope to have that disseminated in the coming days. I think in terms of the response efforts so far, I think we would note the particular contributions that have been made by the World Food Programme in recent days. I think the Gambian Red Cross has received significant support from the European Union, and I think we also understand that additional support is on its way from other donor actors. I think on the basis of this report, I can tell you that we have had very productive conversations this morning, and we would hope that additional support will come as a result. I think on social media, we see a variety of the response actors who are directly providing support to communities. We have seen distributions of cash. We have seen ministerial support provided, particularly to deal with the wash issues. We recognise the need to upscale this support. I think we see the industry of the various actors involved to ensure this takes place. I think this mentioning of the extension of the support beyond the greater Banjul area to ensure inclusion of the regions is a critical point. And I think this is always the case, is what we see with our own two eyes in front of us, we have a tendency to react to. But please ensure that those in rural communities also receive support to address their needs.
And the report, when will we get it?
In the coming days.
Coming days.
I just want to add something before you. I am Louis S.A. from West Coast Radio, and I'm just curious to know what are some of the recommendations you've made with regards to resilient measures in the report for lasting solutions.
So resilience measures in terms of the built infrastructure, and I think we see a significant amount of work, particularly from the United Nations Development Programme and the World Bank, to improve the key infrastructure that manages both the road network, waste management, and also water system management. And I think we also recognise the need for these to be maintained effectively. And I think these two things go hand in hand: the investment, but also the support that is required. And then thirdly, we would also say that there is a role to be played by all members of society in ensuring that these investments are actually realised. And I think this includes social responsibility in terms of waste management, but it also includes a variety of other efforts, including volunteering in support of climate mitigation efforts. And we saw over the weekend some critical activities in this regard. So I think there's a role to be played by all of these actors to address each of these particular issues. And I think this is very much the encouragement that if each actor can show that they're playing their role, others will be encouraged to play their role also. That we see this as a collaborative effort on behalf of the entirety of society, the international community are engaged as well. And through those efforts, we would very much hope to reduce any future disasters to a level that we have the capacity to manage in the immediate term. Thank you.
Yes. So, we did spoke about infrastructures. We are, my mind brought to
have seen the compost streams, that is from Kuku right down to Apko, which is a big waterway. I mean, we have seen this year, especially this year, it has affected, anytime it rains, it is affecting, the communities of, from Kuku right down to Bakode, Manjad, London Corner, all those areas. So I want to know whether after the visit here, whether there are any plans to collaborate with the government and also with the NDMA to at least work on some of these hotspots that every year the same people is coming on. Whether you have plans to collaborate with them, give them support at least to fix those problems so that we can avoid the recurrence of this disaster.
Let me clarify maybe something before you continue asking questions, because I see you are focusing on Angus. Angus is the support to NDMA. So let's address the questions to NDMA. And maybe if there is any details on data, Angus will be able to help. I wanted to first clarify on the report itself. It's not UNDAC report. It's not UN report. It's going to be NDMA report. And NDMA is an agency for the government. So it's going to be approved. That's why we are not going to disclose the report today, even if we call it draft. We ensure that the draft was shared with the key stakeholders, including those working in the area of humanitarian, but also the development partners, because we wanted to have a comprehensive response. And so be with us, just in terms of procedures and clearance. The report will be coming soon. It's almost done. On the interventions, I would say we were not waiting for the draft for the assessment, but this is part of the response too, to have at least a comprehensive report on what is happening in the country, to help those who are supporting to also be coordinated. Because sometimes you see them, intervening, but at the end you don't see the impact because maybe the priorities are not clearly highlighted. So the report will help NDMA to also address clearly the priorities. For the UN, I would say on behalf of the UN, as Angus has already said, we have started addressing some of the key emerging issues that were happening, for example, on food, because we know if you sit with the waste, you stay without eating, even for displaced or those families helping the displaced to survive. We thought that there were some of the areas that were key to address. Then the food security was part of it. And you've seen WFP going out, and you've seen also the Red Cross supported by other partners, including EU and others, focusing on food security. I think that was the first life-saving activity that we focused on. With the support of the mission and looking at the emerging priorities coming again, we saw that the gap on food security and nutrition was still an issue. So we did reach out to our internal emergency fund, what we call SERF, and we got an approval of $1 million US coming soon, and the program of food distribution will start adding to the cash transfer that WFP has been doing. We are going to pop up half million on food security. But we also understand there is a lot of issue around health coming from WASH. And so that is another area that we have prioritized on improving the quality of water. And we are going to start also working on this, including the fact that UNICEF and other agencies have already started going around, because there is also a question of raising awareness of all those people affected, to be aware of what is happening, to be aware of what can happen if the things don't change. So I think the response have already started. We are not waiting. That I wanted to make just this point to say that we are not waiting for the assessment to start working. And you have seen a lot of stakeholders going around. And we are going to also use the report to raise the voice for the Gambia, because you all know that what is happening in the world, some of the interlocutors to whom we are talking may think that Gambia is not in a bad situation. If I may say, you all heard what is happening in Pakistan as flooding issues. You all understand what is happening in different ways in Ukraine and other issues. So the time is not really favorable to us. And that's why we count on all the media to really continue giving visibility to the Gambia. The issue is, how do we make Gambian case as really important and relevant to be supported? So I just wanted to some points so that the question may be addressed to NDMA instead of going to the UN. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions on the floor?
What do you want to hear?
Regarding the compost trees, and then finance.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we just have to recognize that when it comes to disaster, government is the primary duty here. But in terms of response, there is a collective effort going on in terms of response. This response is divided into 3 areas. We have the short term, which is the rapid response, and we go to the medium term and then the long term. For the short term, the National Disaster Management Agency, the government has released $6 million. In addition to that, just last Friday, I signed another $8 million coming from the World Food Program. As we are talking now, the cash transfer is going on in West Coast region. In terms of complementing government's effort, supplementing government's effort, the Red Cross also has a really significant amount of money, even in terms of food as well as in terms of cash transfer. But then the government is the primary duty bearer at the end of the day. But in terms of response, there is a significant collective effort going on, both with the government and their partners, to respond to this flood at the moment. You talk about Kotu Stream. I'm happy to inform you that I was part of the people who actually did the study on Kotu Stream. As we are talking, the World Bank has allocated $45 million. And then the full implementation has started. But in terms of infrastructural development, this will start in December. Or that will soon be a history in this country. Just to strengthen the waterways, in terms of the waterway, you can remember the President of the Republic made a policy pronouncement when we went around that the government is securing $17 million from Indian government. All these efforts are geared towards strengthening the resilience of the community and also create conducive environment when it comes to flooding in this country. Thank you.
Nelson, did you still want to ask a question? No?
It's okay, so.
Let's have a follow-up
I
question.
have one follow-up question, which is very much related. You said that this is to try to make sure a coordinated plan.
Yes.
And you mentioned about the $45 million
For the World Bank Coastal Resilience Project.
Coastal Resilience Project.
Yes,
Okay.
that has to be clear. Coastal Resilience Project. That
Project.
will address the issue of Kotu Stream.
Yes. And there is this urban plan as well. There's a lot of development going on in the Gambia as we speak. And it's about coordination. The impact of that will have, we've already seen one of the development projects, Banjul, yes, which was supposed to address some of these challenges, and we've seen the impact of it. Is this plan taking in consideration all these development activities and how they would affect people's lives as well. Yeah.
Okay.
This activity, this whole report.
Okay, if you can remember on Friday, from Friday, the National Disaster Management Agency is reviewing its policies. And we actually invited all the stakeholders. It's in response to your actual question. We are aware of unregulated settlement in this country. We are aware of people settling on waterways. We are aware of indiscriminate dumping of waste. And also we are aware of, it's a general fact that development creates disaster and disaster creates development. We are very conscious of that. This is why we invited all these stakeholders so that they can we can create a coordinated mechanism in terms of responding to some of the issues that you are actually highlighted. All these institutions will index their response plan into the policy so that the policy can cater for when it comes to response to this kind of crisis.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, foreign newspaper, sir. Yes. I have some questions to ask about this.
Okay.
Land allocation in the Combos has really mainly been in the hands of alcalos.
Yes.
And there was no planning, resulting in residences building on waterways. And has your mission taken this into account? If so, what is the way forward?
Okay, the mission, when it comes to, we all know the land allocation system in this country. If you can see some of the government land that have been planned, you rarely hear flooding from those areas. That's Fajara and so, those are government plan land. Hardly you hear any flooding around those. The traditional land allocation system is where the problem comes in, and the policy will actually address some of the challenges that you are. We all know when there is flooding in this country, somebody called me and said, I'm flooded, I'm at Bakau Farokan. We all know Farokan is not for settlement. Farokan is for rice growing and other agricultural activity. Somebody called me and said, I'm at Kalinding Farokan. We all know Farokan is not for settlement. So the policy is just trying to respond to those people. This is why we invited all the stakeholders, the local government, the physical planning, and so on, so that we can have a policy response to some of the challenges that we are facing with regard to those kind of things.
Sir, follow up, sir.
Yeah.
You have a follow-up?
Yes.
Follow up, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, from your previous surveys,
Yes.
did you not foresee floods at Tobacco Road and Jabang Estate as possible outcomes? Did you recommend possible remedies to the government on possible and if did they listen to you?
No, okay. It's not a matter of who listen to me and who don't listen to me. I think that's not my job. But if you look at the history of Javan, there was serious flooding in 2020. And immediately after the flooding, the community stormed my office that they need redress in terms of flooding. What we did was we engaged the National Road Authority, the Survey Department, and came up with a very comprehensive assessment as what was the result of the flooding. And this report was provided because the area belongs to Social Security. This report was provided to Social Security at a tune of $56 million. But at the moment, Social Security was not in a position to finance this, and they are also reaching out to their finance so that they can address it. While that consultation was going on, this 30th and 31st flooding, but government is actually taking it seriously. Now their Social Security and government are collaborating with other stakeholders so that they can permanently address the flooding at Java.
Okay. Yes, how do you handle immediate needs during emergencies? Do you go there? Do you do your assessment and sort support from partners, or do you have resources already reserved for emergencies? In short, what is your level of preparedness?
Well, preparedness is actually at different levels. In terms of flooding, prior to the rainy season, with the council, we clean almost most of the gutters, and also did a lot of work in terms of, because if you look at the public has a stake when it comes to preparedness. indiscriminate dumping of dust. Already a regulation in place that if you litter, do illegal dumping, you should be prosecuted. But how many of us are adhering to those compliance issues in this country? So as far as NDMA is concerned, we are collaborating with the council to make sure that we at the best of our ability to strengthen preparedness in terms of disaster governance in this country.
Second to last, sir.
Yes.
People complain that whenever disaster happens, government, Red Cross will be the first to go, and government will go there late. I know it's always Red Cross that first go.
Okay.
So, what is the problem, sir? Because people want answers on.
Okay, you only have to recognize that data collection is not an event; it's a process. Government resources are accountable to the people. Before government allocate any resources, they must have the data. Because that data will inform the decision that government is taking in terms of responding to disaster. I don't know why you said Red Cross is responsible, but as far as NDMA is concerned, we are collaborating with the Red Cross at the level of data collection, and in most cases, Red Cross is using our data to respond. So I don't know why you said Red Cross is the first to respond. The recent flooding, government released 6 million and 1,700 bags of rice were provided, 850 gallons of oil and 850 bags of sugar were distributed across the country. And we did this in collaboration with the Red Cross. So when you say Red Cross is the first to respond, I don't understand, because our collaboration is in such a way that the data we are using one-stop shop when it comes to data generation as well as responding to the victims.
Okay. So final question, sir. Yeah, final question, sir. Do you have any plans in terms of helping these victims of flood with housing? You help them with food. So,
Well,
some of them have issues of.
No, this is why you can see, I think when Angus mentioned the issue of shelter, it's indexed into the report.
Okay.
This was why today the donors and the embassies have been briefed. The first response is emergency response, which is food. The shelter is a medium-term response, and this was why even the retreat was organized, so that all these things will be indexed into the report and shared with our donors and partners. So based on their comparative advantage, they will be able to respond with government to the affected population.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, my name is Landin Sise from Kerfal.
Okay.
You've mentioned millions here, and millions have been coming for disaster management and other related issues.
Yes.
But the issue here in this country is when millions are coming, the public is informed. But when millions arrive, how the millions are spent, they will never reveal that one. And then you will not see a substantive, development with regards to that particular issue, where that particular issue where you receive millions of. Now that you are receiving millions for disaster management, what should government expect from you? Could it be you're going to reduce disaster like this other one, or we are going to we are just being informed formally, and then no development would take place, like other millions spent on other developments?
Already, there is an access to information law in this country. I think you are aware of that.
Yes.
You are aware of that. I don't know how, when he said the government, the millions have been used, I don't understand where millions have been used and that the public is not aware of that. I'm not part of that, and I'm not going to be in a position to address that. But as far as NDMA is concerned, if at any level, if you require, you need to know any information, my doors are open. You can come there and actually ask for anything.
So, with respect to that, I was doing a story last year. I wanted data for the flooding in terms of KMC. I came to your office and I was not provided with information. I was referred back to KMC. And when I went to KMC, they referred me back to the office. And that's how the story died. Because I needed the data of how many people were affected. Because KMC usually pumping money to clean the gutters with the claim that they are flooding an area. But data was the problem. So
who did you meet at the office?
I cannot remember the name.
So you cannot remember. That's
No, but it was at the
different.
office, at the headquarters.
Because you see, data is protected. Because these are people's information. You know the data protection policy in this. You can any Tom, Dick, and Harry cannot come and say, I ask for data, and then you just give it to the person. If you needed data, we require that you write to the office and ask for data and what you are going to use that data for. Because this contains people's personal information. So we don't just go and to the street and say this is our data. There's a process as how you will acquire data, official data from NDMA.
So, what the type of data we ask for is number. And the type of data we ask for is number, not the people.
But who do you meet?
So,
No,
Yeah, well,
it's not to
if you
go
say
to
you-
the office, it's to actually sign a data request form.
Yes.
To say that I am 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒆𝒍 from XXX, which is then sent over and then approved and your data will be provided. I hope that helps you for any further data.
I'll come back.
My doors are equally open as
You
well.
cannot come to the gate and say, Yanko, I'm looking for a data. We don't operate like that.
Okay, this is the end of the press conference. So thank you all for your time. Reporters and cameramen can see me for your enumeration shortly. Please make sure you sign the register. And thank you all for your time. Thank you to the head table for their time and their presence today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, everybody. Well done.